All right. So now on to opening images. So there's lots of different ways you can open an image in Fiji because Fiji deals with so many different types of images. You can just go file open like any other program, and that's pretty obvious. You can also drag and drop, and it will try and select the relevant tool to open it, the image file. You can force bioformats, which I'll talk about in a few slides, to import it. And one of the other ways is you can import sequences of images. So a lot of new microscopes are kind of spraying out lots and lots of volumes. So you might have a folder with 100 TIFF files, but it's one movie. So the image sequence lets you pull them all back into one kind of window. So bioformats, I mentioned, it's developed by the Open Microscopy Environment, or OME. They make some other tools like Amero. And again, open source, so nice and good because it's friendly and free. It reads and applies the relevant metadata files. So when you have an image from a Zeiss microscope, it should spit out in like a CZI file. Where they store the pixel size is a different place to where like Leica might store it in their metadata. So bioformats kind of pieces it all together and helps Fiji open it, or any other program that uses bioformats. It isn't just specific to Fiji. This is probably a bit outdated, but there's a lot of different file formats that bioformats maintains and will read and open. And again, if you have issues, I'm on these forums and you see someone post an issue, usually within a day or two, it's fixed. And again, you should try and cite them. Not many people do, but they need money, they need citations, they need grants. So when you do open a bioformats image, or when you open an image that bioformats is then invoked, you'll get a pop-up like this. It's actually really useful. Most people in my experience click OK and never actually think about what any of those things do. But just to go through a couple of them, you can change how it opens the file. So maybe you just want to read the metadata. You know, you're writing your method section, you want to know, oh, was it the 63x objective or the 40x objective that I wanted to use? And that was from an image 3 years ago. Well, that'll just quickly open the text file and you can skim through and find it. If you've got like a 100 gigabyte file and your laptop can't handle that, you can use a virtual stack. And then that'll open it from your disk memory. It'll be slow, but it will still open it. And then you can also say like, no, I only want to open time point 1 or time point 100. If you've got a bunch of files and you know which one was the good fish that you wanted to include in the manuscript and you just want to quickly find that file again, don't open the whole thing, you can just open part of it. So it's really useful. If you don't ever want to touch that, or if you're using scripting and you're not, you don't want it to pop up, you can go into plugins, bioformats. So this is like navigating through the menu titles, plugins, configuration, formats, find the format. So it'll say like Zeiss, CZI, click it and tick windowless, and then it won't harass you again. So that can be useful as well. I mentioned that you can open a sequence of images. The way that works is it's under File, Import Image Sequence. It's going to pop up this window or something that looks similar to it. They're starting to add some extra features in here. So depending on which version of Fiji, it might look different. But most of the important stuff's the same. It'll recognize how many images from the folder that you're trying to open are in there. And you can tell it like, open every 5th image, open every 2nd image. You can say open everything, but only scale it by 50% because I don't need to open everything at high resolution. I would normally always say you want to sort them by numerically so that they're in order, because they're usually going to be something that's like blah, 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 underscore C1 underscore T1, and then T2 and T3, etc. So it will try and put them all together. Again, if you don't have enough memory, you should use virtual stack and then it won't pull it all in at once. And you can also do like filters. So say you've got a folder that has a bunch of CH1 and CH2 files, you could put CH1 and it'll only open those. Pretty standard stuff, but it's really useful. Often if you do use this, it might pull them all into one big long 2D time lapse, and you may need to use a tool called the stack to hyperstack to say, no, it's actually 10 Z stacks and 3 channels every time. But that's relatively straightforward if you have to use that. So to show you what it looks like, probably all roughly familiar with, but you can open the window, navigate around. find a file, it'll open up. Here's a file. If I just click open, it opens it. Now that's a basic example TIFF file that they give you. So it didn't invoke bioformats. It didn't really need anything. It could just open it and use its header information. I can drag that file on and get the same thing. Now I've got two image windows open. I can also open one that is a bioformat. It requires bioformats to open. I clicked OK, and now I've got my more complicated window. You can maybe make out that there's a lot more information up here. So there was scale and all extra stuff like that. I can also go to plugins, find the bioformats, and import it. So say I had a TIFF file that it normally wouldn't invoke bioformats, that I only want to open frame 1, I can force it to use that tool and then only open frame 1. It can be quite useful. Yeah. All right. So then the next thing is, once you've got something, you might do something to it, but you want to save it. It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. File, save as. There's a whole big list of things that you can save it down as. I have probably used like 2 or 3 of these in my life. Useful ones, TIFF, the tagged image format. That's going to maintain at most metadata that it's read in. Probably not all of it, but you will have your original copy of the file. Image sequence. So if you just want to spray out a bunch of 2D files, that will do that. AVI, definitely useful. We'll use that today. That's to save a movie. You can save like a JPEG. I'd advise against it because JPEG's lossy. There is also this one down the bottom, OME TIFF. That uses, it's an OME, so open microscopy environments like the bioformats. It's good for Amero. There is a new one that they're developing called OME NGFF. It's a whole new hierarchical file system. It's not quite ready for mass release yet. So if you're super advanced, you can start playing with it, but it's not really what I'd advise at the moment. So just keep with probably the TIFF for now, or as I said, the AVI or other ones there. So the first exercise is to basically open an image. So there's a bioformats image. If you've never played with any of those buttons, feel free to completely bastardize my image file that I gave you. And then there's also an image sequence. So have a go at opening the little movie. And this one, you definitely want to save this sequence one as a TIFF file because we're going to use that later on. Okay, I'll quickly show you. There is a slight mistake on that slide, which hopefully you'll realize that the bioformats examples don't have multi-channels. Apologies for that. Yeah, I had to change some of the data sets over the years. So there's a cell here. It's pretty dim. Future slides will show you how to make that look bright. This other one is some beads. So about halfway, they're really dim, unfortunately. There's some beads. And then for the image sequence, we had a couple of people ask, if they dragged one file, they only got one frame, or if they went in like open, it only opens one. That's expected behavior. To import the image sequence, we go import image sequence, and yeah, the slides probably need an update. We change to the folder. I don't need to apply anything, and then it just opens it. And we have our lovely little movie. So this could be any kind of format. You could have lots of files, and you just want to string them all together to quickly look at them or do something to them. So that's how you can use that stuff. Close all that. All right, back to PowerPoint. Now, you do have the answers, so that might help you as well.